Hey there, viewers, and welcome back to the Self-Made Auto Channel. Working on a 2018 F-150. It's got the big 2.7 twin turbo and the money lights on. We got the T10 hooked up. It's from the Harbor Freight. I let it do a full system scan while I was waiting for my camera to quit acting up, and that got all done. And we have a couple codes in it. Well, there's codes in several modules, but the only code we're concerned with is what's in the engine controller, which are these two. One's a circuit code and one is a range performance code, sensor performance. So we got two different types of codes we're dealing with. One here is this 0035, which is a turbocharger bypass valve control circuit high, which it typically means, open circuit of some sort. Open circuit, I guess it could be open circuit actual failed component, or open circuit like, broken wire open circuit. Something along those lines is what I'm guessing. And then we have this 0471, which is exhaust pressure sensor range performance error. And that's usually exactly as it states. Usually it's within, a certain sensors within its, parameters or calibrated values, but usually it's not plausible what it's doing. Its expected values outside of its range, or something ain't right. And I'm not familiar with either one of these, and I don't know if the exhaust pressure sensor, if it's looking at EGR exhaust, or what they use on these twin turbos to monitor exhaust pressure. Usually on a Ford, exhaust pressure, my mind goes right old school, DPF sensor on old EGR systems. So maybe it's something like that. I'm not sure. Anyhow, let's look this up in service data, see where these components live. I think, I don't, just in my gut, that's down here. It tells me these two probably aren't related. But maybe, maybe they use the same, bulk connector or something like that. We got some green crusties growing somewhere. But let's just take it one step at a time. Let's look at this turbocharger bypass valve control circuit high, see if that's just a bad component. And then we'll look up the code set criteria for both, but we'll get started on that one and then go to the next one. Wow, how profound. So look up in service data, your P0035. And our main concern is code set criteria, because that's really what we need to know. Description: this code sets when the PCM detects an open circuit or high voltage in the TCBY. Isn't that an ice cream store? I don't know about that. Turbocharger bypass circuit. Ford is infamous for using their acronyms. Sometimes you read them and you're like, WTF, because you don't know what they mean. Possible causes: a bad bypass valve, circuit open, or circuit short to voltage. Okay, I didn't mention that one because that doesn't happen that often. Remember shorts, you get a short, short to ground, short to another circuit. Those are the types of shorts you can have. Which I guess just short to short, whether it's short to another circuit or which could be a ground as well. Check for components, go to pinpoint test. We're not going to do that. We're just going to find out where this valve lives. The beauty of a circuit test or a circuit problem is I don't even need to know the theory and operation on that, bypass valve. It doesn't matter. If it's just a two-wire solenoid, who cares what it does or when it's supposed to turn on, this, that, and the other thing. We just need to know how a two-wire solenoid functions. So I just jumped into wire diagrams, a little free tip Friday for you, because I think there was, how many is there here on Mitchell? So 1 of 12, so 12 diagrams for the twin turbo. And I don't want to go through all of them looking for this solenoid. So if you're a Mitchell user, Control F. Now we're up in the fine. We're up here. Turbocharger bypass. You know how they did it? TCBY. Oh, look at that! It actually worked. Took us right to it. So left front engine compartment turbocharger bypass valve, the TCBY. There it is. So it is just a two-wire, and look at that, we got two connectors right there. We're going to click on the diagram, We'll kind of do this live. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Okay, so it lights it up. Let's see. I'm gonna follow this to the end because I assume one end's power, one end is computer. And it is. So it looks like this brown with white wire, TCBY, I assume that's going to be its ground side input. That's going to be whatever turns it on, baby. Now we're gonna go to the other end of the spectrum here. Back to diagram 3. Enhance, enhance, enhance. And look at that. So it goes down to these series of gray wires because we had what, brown and white and gray, I think it said. And then our gray wire comes from this fuse, which I doubt we have to check because that also feeds the transmission fluid heater engine coolant control valve, whatever that is. Plus it feeds other things, and I would think, it's probably a big fat assumption, I would assume, let me get back here and then I'll finish my thought. Okay, yeah, it feeds some other stuff here. I would assume we would have engine lights on for this cabin coolant pump and whatever else that other thing was. So it looks like it feeds a couple other units beyond this turbocharger bypass valve, but I don't know. I'm not familiar enough to know, like, does this vehicle have these options? Are they monitored by the computer, and would it set a code if they were missing power? But that's just, so that's how my mind works. Left front of engine compartment. So let's find this valve, and I guess for what it's worth, even though I don't think we're gonna absolutely have to, let's check this fuse. Fuse 36, 10 amp, we can start there. We'll see when's that supposed to be hot, when the PCM power relay is on, it looks like, so key on. And the power relay is a lot like my wife, hot at all times. So we'll check that just for poop and laughter. Fuse 36, good. We're gonna go right to the component. We're gonna check, do we have power? You know, solenoid turned off. I assume it's normally off. We could probably look at, but I assume it's off. Do we have power in, power out? And if we do, then, you know, do we have control from the PCM? These are things I'm thinking. So let's get after it. I grabbed us the power probe after 4.5 hours of discovery where fuse 36 is, because Ford so kindly does not label anything ever. Pain in the hoo-ha. Fuse 36, 10 amp is supposed to be in this row here. And it was between the 20 and the 25s. I got the power. Okay, so we knew what we already knew. We have power on that fuse. Somebody's playing a trick on us and cut the leg off the bottom of the load side of the fuse. Against my better judgment, I'm not even gonna look. Let's find this valve. Frickin' aluminum trucks. Well, trying to hook you guys up. Not fucking, it's not working here. There we go. Can you see there? Kind of. This is weird, man. Okay, brown, white, and gray. I don't want you to hear me breathing the whole time. You know, it makes it weird, man. I gotta move you guys. Okay, just pretend to follow along. Not trying to make it awkward. I believe this is our valve. We got a brown, white, and gray. So this is the one tube for the air charge cooler. This is the pressurized. Yeah, this is the pressurized size. Like, what part of an air charge cooler is it, you ding dong? And then this is our bypass valve that just dumps back into the fresh air side of the intake. Okay. Let's see. We're gonna leave this plugged in. Which one? Crap. The gray wire. The gray wire. That was our power. We're gonna leave it plugged in so we don't disturb anything. Very gingerly back probe that. We have our power probe down here. Good connection. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, well, there's your problem, lady. We have 3.42 volts That's kind of interesting, right? 3.42. What do we have on the white with brown? I'm going to assume the same if the well, would you look at that 3.42 volts there as well. Well, that's interesting. Are we just dealing with something? Well, that's going to be the cause of our code, right? Okay, so 3.42 volts, but where is that corrosion? Are we dealing with some corrosion? We got some green crusties. Let's check, is that 3.42 volts? Is that on the computer side or is that on the power side? We're going to want to know that. So we're going to go directly, we're going to touch the tip right here into the gray wire. My tip touching? Oh, we got nothing there, 0.00. Oh, there we go, 3.42 volts there. I know you guys can't see it because of the crappy photography and the lighting. So the 3.42 volts is on the, that's on the control side. So it must be some kind of bias or circuit check or some kind of random voltage that the PCM puts out. Okay, so that's interesting. Let's, well, we're right here. I'm gonna grab, I got the scan tool in my hand, so picture a guy with a scan tool. Good looking guy, picture that, okay? Kidding. We're gonna go into actuation test, I'm assuming. And then we're gonna use a function on the power probe here because we have it in our hand. We're gonna go to mode, then we're gonna go to driver test. All right, so what that does, that puts a voltage here at the tip. So you can see 13.6 volts on the tip. And it's low current. It does have some current carrying capability. I don't remember, I'd have to look in the book, you know, maybe like a 1/4 amp or something. And what it will do is that it's gonna test driver integrity here on the ground side switch for the computer. Does that make sense? You'll see in a minute here. Okay, so I'm in active test, I'm scrolling. And oh, look at that, turbocharger bypass valve 1. And what we want to see, so right now the circuit's turned off. The real turn off, man. And I'm going to hold this in there. And I'm going to use the scan tool. We're going to turn this on. And we expect it to pull it to ground if it works. On. Oh. Off. On. Off. On. Off. Okay. Well, what did we learn? We need to put this back to volts DC. We learned that we have power at our fuse, but we have no power here. Story of my freaking life, man. You know what? Today's Tuesday, yesterday was Monday, obviously. And I didn't find a single broken wire yesterday. Okay, so we're dealing with something, dealing with broken wire, dealing with corrosion, dealing with a bad connection. We're dealing with an open circuit missing power, exactly as the code described. We know the control side is good, so we might be able to use that. We know that our fuse is good and lit up unless somebody cut the leg off it and is messing with us. We don't know that. Yeah, well, let's do a visual inspection where this harness runs, see if we get lucky, see some green crusties. If not, we're gonna have to do it for real. Let me show you guys. So this is what I call the front of the truck. That's the cow catcher. And if we look up through there, that little harness that sticks out there, right where that clip is sticking out of the plastic, there's a connector there. I see somebody's pulled out the white Christmas tree. I don't know if this guy's taking it to a car show or not, but that's a 1.5 points there if that gets noticed by a judge. But if we look up there, it's in a very difficult spot, out of focus and everything. But right up there, pretty much straight in front of us, you can see the two wires. They go into a connector there, and then they kind of run in this bumper harness, bumper cover harness. Oh, look at this. Okay, so we have a wire. What in the world? Oh, okay, that's interesting. That's a brown with white. Is that our... That's the brown with white wire that somebody's already done a little snippy snip on. I wonder if this is... Let me set you down. I can't even complete a sentence when I'm hanging on to you. Okay, I've moved you. I cannot see. Ready? I think I see the problem though. Enhance. Enhance. Whoop. Enhance. Y'all see it? I can't tell what's in the viewfinder. That looks fuzzy. That looks unfuzzy. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm pretty sure I see it up there. Let me unenhance you. Who does this kind of Mickey Mouse crap? Come on, man. This is not really in a great spot where you and I can get up here and be together. Intimate auto repair, I call it. That's not what I call it for real, but I think I see the problem. And it looks like whoever did this bypass before, when they knifed open the wiring harness, they might have given it the old nickaroo. You know nickaroo? Yes, sir, because I see friggin' junk forts. I cannot get my hand up in here. Pretty sure I see the spot. That's the face I make when I see the spot. Oh, yeah. Show me the money. Here you go. Who wants the money shot? Yeah, this definitely looks self-induced. Whoever did the last shoddy repair here. Let me show you. I don't want to rob you fellas of this. You boys ready? Oh, just like that. So quick. So quick. Is that even right color wire? Sugar. I don't think it is. That's gray with purple. Son of a frig. Well, we found a broken wire. I don't think it's the right one though. Kind of sucks. Let's fix it and see if it is. It looks like it's gray and purple though. Okay, come down here with me, baby. I did just a 22 gauge crimp and seal on there. Didn't end up having to lengthen the wire or anything. Worked out perfect. Now the wire is purple with gray. However, when you follow it over to this side of the connector, it's what I call straight up gray. So it should be our wire. As soon as that cools, I'm gonna double check my work. We're gonna leave this little mess alone that somebody else did. Must be, I don't know, must be in their case. Maybe this connector was corroded, I don't know. Anyhow. Free tip Friday for you for the non-regular SMA viewers. How to make a mini roll. Need a little mini roll. We do need a little mini roll of tape here. We're using some Tessa tape. We're going to cover up our stuff. There's that. That one's no fun. That's fun. Every time, I don't care who you are, that's fun to do. Okay, there you go. Now you have a little mini roll. You can do your little tape job. Because that's a little bit minier than this one. Alright, now we're back over here for the big moment. Grab my needle. Grab my needle. Okay, we're gonna go. It doesn't matter which wire we probe. Because we know the solenoid's good. Oh, this is kind of awkward. Okay, we're in the gray wire. Hallelujah. We're going to go in the brown and white, which is the control side. It should have the same thing here. And we do. Now, big moment of truth. Okay, you guys listen to annoying beep. Whoa, come on. I'm not sure you're going. If we're on the control wire, we have power going in. What's going to happen to this control wire when we turn it on? Ready? Let me show you. What do you expect? I expect the beeping to go away and it goes to ground. Ready? On. Boom, just like that, old son. Off. Plus you can hear the solenoid, listen. There it is, old son. There's one code. And as as we hypothesized at the beginning, that one code had nothing to do with the other code. So let's look at the other code. There, first broken wire of the day within the first hour of the day. Like I said, I didn't do any yesterday, which is kind of bizarre. I fixed a few money lights yesterday, no broken wires. So one thing that I'll say about that, it must be very regional to our region. Because, or our environment. You know, I talked to like Sherwood at Royalty Auto Service, or Keith Perkins down there at L1 Auto Diagnostics. They don't really fix broken wires. They don't do the green crusties. They don't do the crappy connectors. Yeah, I mean, occasionally they come across them, but not in the same frequency that we do, where the majority of our stuff isn't failed components, it's failed physical layers, you know, connectors, harnesses, stuff like that. I guess that's why we've become really decent at finding, you know, the green crappy stuff. And in most cases, once we go to a component, identify the problem, you know, we're looking for short, open circuit, corrosion. This case, it was completely open circuited. Visual inspection. Yeah, we got pretty lucky because, you know, somebody else had already been in there and it looked like it was self-induced, you know, from something like this. They got up in there and they cut the harness open, and, you know, must have nicked that gray wire. Clearly there was a problem at that connector. You know, if this thing starts to become a problem with other stuff, you know, whatever else is up there, I would suggest to the customer, let's just pull that, you know, pull that bumper cover off and do that, you know, short section of harness if other wires in there start going bad. You know, you only want to bypass so many of them. Granted, ours was just a straight repair, but if there's an issue in that connector at some point in the future, you know, maybe fix that one pin that they cut out of there and then just replace that little short section of harness, unless it's like, you know, $9 million or something. But if it's $8 million, I'm going for it. We're gonna back out of that actuator test because that works now. And what we wanna look for is nothing here in the actuator test. We wanna go to data stream, and then we're gonna go to customize list. We're gonna deselect all because Ford's gonna have a gazillion things and we only need a half a gazillion, and we're gonna look for exhaust, E-X-Haust, A-U-S-T, that's how you spell exhaust. Wow, and there's a lot of them here. So what we're gonna look for, holy caps.
I need to know if the guy with the green truck gave you the okay.
The guy with the green truck.
He was supposed to call. His son's on the phone.
Oh, I have not talked to him. No, I emailed him his stuff yesterday, though. Let's see here. So we want to find, okay, here's delta feedback pressure exhaust voltage. Oh, that's interesting. DFPE. This is just like the old school, old son. So we must be dealing with like an EGR type exhaust pressure if we're looking up the right one. So I'm gonna poke through these here, see what pertains. Quit running my mouth for a minute. Okay, so I found the DFPE, so this is EGR recirculation, and then I found other exhaust pressure, so we're gonna use those four. We're gonna click OK. And I see a problem. Just looking at this, I'm seeing if any of this makes sense. Okay, that seems to be a problem. 16.8 psi. I would expect it to be at barometric pressure, 14-ish in my area, 13.9, 14 psi, somewhere's around there. This DPFE, differential pressure feedback EGR center, is about 0 psi. That seems right. So these must be two different sensors. Okay, I guess before we make assumptions, that looks like a DPFE sensor up top there. Let's just, before we make an assumption, let's make an assumption. Oh, homo freight school here. Ow, you frick hole. That was my butt. Frick, that hurt. There's a pressure sensor up here. I'm gonna unplug it. What does that do? Oh, okay, so definitely two sensors, and we just learned something. We probably set a code too. DPFE sensor is different than this exhaust pressure sensor. Okay, yeehaw. So there's that. That's what we know. We got two different sensors. Let me just look. So there's an exhaust. Let's pop get you up here. You're gonna have to deal with the fan there blowing on the battery charger. Super quiet. Video sounds like a hurricane. So this is what I just unplugged. Two hoses here. So this is, you know, manifold side, EGR side. So it's that's where it checks for its differential pressure. But I also see that this is an exhaust tube that runs up to the DPFE. I wonder that we got a 3-wire sensor here. We have a 3-wire sensor or 2-wire sensor here. So this 2-wire sensor, we're probably looking at a temperature sensor, and I assume the 3-wire, we're probably looking at pressure. So let's just unplug the 3-wire. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's just not assume, but yeah, this guy's assuming. So look at that. Now we're at 57 PSI. And 4.99 volts, completely open circuited. That's this pressure sensor here. I plug it back in, and we're at almost 17 PSI. So we're looking at a skewed sensor. Now, we can do a very quick bypass test on it. We know we have our 5-volt bias coming down our signal wire, because that's what it is, open circuited. Let's check. Let's just grab the prober. Over here. So two of these wires, the old needle in the mouth trick, two of these wires should have 5 volts. That's our signal ground, or sensor ground. So here we have actual 5 volts. So let me set this down before I choke on it. Ouch, just poked myself. We have a white or a green. Looks like maybe a green with purple. That's our 5-volt reference, because we can see here it's 5.03 volts. Now, I don't believe this is high impedance. This will pull down a bias voltage. So on our scan tool, we're at 4.997. We have 5 volts there. We have our ground here in the middle, which is a yellow with green. And then our signal wire that goes back to the computer appears to be gray. Ish. Now when I check that, scan tool says 4.997. We probe it here. We're at 4.41. But look what it does to the scan tool. Let this be a lesson to you. See how that takes that down to 4.4 volts? And I'm going to unplug the power probe. And I'm assuming that went back to 4.99. And it did. So we're looking at that bottom figure. I'm going to plug in the power probe. It drew it down. Okay, this is not a high impedance meter. You have to know how your tool works, because it will screw you if you're checking. If you're like, oh wow, look at that, geez, you know, only 4.4 volts. You know, if it's a low current circuit or a bias voltage in this case on that signal wire, it'll get you. Okay. So we know we have everything there to make it work. If you want to prove to yourself, just take your ground. Usually I would do this with a test light, and we're going to ground our signal wire very lightly, and we should see that pull that bottom number to 0. Take the ground away, back to 4.99. So that's a quick circuit integrity check, and that's that in a dime sack, they say. Plug that back in, we're at 16.7 PSI. We simply have a bad sensor. It's skewed. It's askew, as they say. Because if we look at other sensors, let's just take this here for example, like go to customize list, we're going to type in barometric pressure. Okay, there's 2 PIDs there, so we're going to grab both of those. We're going to go down, hit the X, hit that, hit OK. And barometric pressure, where we live, is 14.06. So it says 0.065, 14.065 of the PSIs. But when we look at this exhaust pressure, look at that, 16. So of course, of course, there's going to be some calibration issue there, or not calibration, what did they call it? Continuous monitors, range performance issues. Just to be sure, I'll let that load. We're going to grab service data. Stand by. Oh, just a minute. I need to put in my secret code. ABC123. There we go. Okay, PO471 is the code, and that's for exhaust. That's a range performance. So we're going to come here. We're going to go here, go there. Clickety. Come on. I didn't bring up my keyboard. P0471. Let's just check out code description just to make sure we're not way off base. We have the spinning wheel of death. We're going to click on that. Why'd you get all slow on me? Okay, here we go. This code, this DTC sets when the exhaust pressure, the EP, that's their acronym for that, signal is not within a calibrated value. The EP sensor reading should be greater than barometric pressure sensor reading by a calibrated threshold when the engine is running. Oh, that's interesting. This DTC sets the EP sensor reading should be greater. Oh, with the engine running. Oh, duh, idiot, of course. With the engine running, but key on, engine off. Let's just go to the pinpoint test. Nonsense stuff. Check for voltage at the sensor. We did that. This is all just going to be a bunch of bullshit tests. Stupid Ford crap, you know. Check all your resistance, unplug everything. Blah blah blah. So it doesn't give you any real information. Just some moron engineer wrote this. So no real information there, or nothing useful. You know, what would be useful in this, instead of saying unplug the PCM, unplug this, and do an ohm check on all your wires like some kind of ding dong. It should have, say, hey, go key on, engine off. Compare it to barrel reading. Is it within, you know, 0.0 psi of barrel reading? If not, then check for, you know, power, ground, and 5 volts. But instead, the Ford engineers write these papers that just have endless amounts of ohm tests. The worst test you can do on an automotive vehicle to check for wire integrity. But here we are. It's 2025 and they're still struggling with that. So that's it. We have a bad sensor. Let me see if I can get one of those from Ford and get her done. That's it, folks. Ford's got it in stock, so it must be a popular item. I guess, truth be told, being opaque here, that's semi-transparent. I don't work on a lot of Fords, here and there, which is weird because we're here in downtown Avoca, and to the east and to the west we have a Ford dealership, 2 Ford dealerships, both owned by the same franchise, one in Hornell, one in Bath. But we just don't see a lot of these, you know. I mean, as you guys see, we're diehard Americans, Chevrolet, apple pie, baseball, all that stuff. So we work on more of those than we do these. So some of these systems are a little bit unfamiliar. As soon as that shows up, before we even put it in, we're going to plug it up. We'll cut that key back on and see if we're reading barrel pressure. Here we go. Napper just showed up. They went to the Ford garage for us because they're awesome like that. They picked up our sensor. There's our sensor. So we're going to go back, customize list, enter the keyword. We're going to use the word exhaust. Oh, it's still all up in our memory. Okay, so there we are, 16.8 we'll round it up to. Then what you need to do here is you need to get out your knife and make a very, very small slit right near where the factory burn seam is, in case you have to, you know, return it and say, I didn't need it. Such a scumbag move, right? Then you just slip that out just a little bit, okay? This will fool your average parts guy. No, it won't. There's that. We plug it up. The key is already cut on. And you can see we are down to the correct PSI now, 14.3. So we're better. We're good. Ouch. 14.3 PSI on that one. Back to the OG at 16.7. So nothing more than a simple bad sensor. Now we can open it up for real. We will get, looks like your classic oil pressure switch socket. We'll swap that little guy out and then we'll fire it up and we should see a pressure increase according to service data. Remember it said that it wants to see a increase in pressure to a certain calibrated value, which they don't give you. So anyhow, looks like your standard 24 M&N. Cracked it. There's that. Yeah. Take it home, clean it, do whatever you want with it. You're not going to fix it. You can clean it all you want. At the end of the day, I need to give the limited guarantee that I fixed your vehicle. So if I spend time trying to clean that, yeah, it kind of works. Guy takes off, trying to run a drive cycle. You know, does it, quits again. All the customer will ever remember is, you just fixed that, remember? Well, remember we get amnesia when we try to shortcut things a little bit. Customers will have a tendency to have amnesia when we go to recall. Like, no, actually, you know, the sensor was, you know, $500, so we cleaned it out and it worked. Remember that? We talked about it. No, you don't. Big surprise. So I use the CYA method. Cover your hiney in the shop, so put in a new sensor. There we are, 14.3. Okay. Let's fire this pig up, see if it pops up. I wouldn't expect a whole lot of back pressure here at an idle. Let's see if I can reach in. Yeah, that's kind of what I would expect, just some jittery mumbo jumbo. Let me give her a couple of eyes here. So the sensor appears to be working. Yeehaw! Bumped up to 25 PSI. Blue smoking like crazy, so it must be their classic oil burner. It's pretty smoky. Let's see, customize list, hit OK. And yeah, so barrel is at 14, let's say 14.1, and exhaust is at 14.3. So I'm pretty happy with it. I'm happy if you're happy. I'm gonna back out, go back to the topo here. We're gonna clear DTCs and move on with our life. So that's it, folks. Pretty easy, pretty standard diodes. A sensor that is askew and a wire that is a broke. And that's it. Nothing more to say. We need to move on. We got to fix that band there and about 20 other cars that are sitting out there. So we're going to get after it. You guys get after it in that comment section. Questions, comments, put them down there. Find us on the Insta, the Facebook. We're all around. We're everywhere, man. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.